Go ahead and hit the record button. And for those of you that I have not met yet, let me introduce you and welcome you. So my name is Arlen Brady. I am the Director of Training and Development for Floor Coverings International. Floor Coverings International, as most of you know, is headquartered in Norcross, Georgia, just northeast, one of the northeast suburbs of Atlanta. I do not live in Atlanta. I live in Columbia, South Carolina. So I am coming to you today from my office in Columbia. And I'm very excited to work with this team. There's a couple of little things that I'd like to sort of get out of the way, and most of you have already done this. If you don't mind, mute yourself. If I get background noise, I will mute you, but that's not to keep you from talking. That's just to prevent a ton of background noise. I do take attendance, so it's really, really helpful when you guys have first and last name listed, and that way I can see, exactly who's there, and I'm not guessing, like Dad's iPhone. That doesn't really help me. So it's really nice to have an actual name on the screen. So what I'd like to do is just very, very quickly. Now, I will tell you, this is, I've done big classes before by Zoom, and that's not a problem. This is one of the biggest that I've done. So it's going to be important that there's some things that we do together just to help each other's learning experience. So I will say this, find where that noise is coming from.
Yeah, when you have those 25. Yeah.
Where is that? Where is that? Where is that?
I'm sorry? Yes. Yes. So those $2,500
Who's got a speakerphone behind them?
I think Mark might be unmuted.
Mark, hold on a second.
Gotcha. Got it. All right. So obviously, take yourself off of mute whenever you need to. And what I'd like to do is just very quickly, we've got a big group, so this needs to be like a 10 or 15-second introduction from each person. But I do want to go around the room and let you guys introduce yourself to one another. So this is the way this is going to work. I'll call your name. I just want you to come off the screen and say, first and last name, where you're located. So if you happen to be in Columbia, South Carolina, well, that would be a nice coincidence. And are you a franchise owner or are you a design associate? And for today, that's all we'll get into. So Mark, you happen to be at the top left-hand corner of my screen. So Mark, I'm going to start with you, and then I'm going to Allie and Sally. And you'll have to unmute yourself, Mark. All right, while Mark is looking for the unmute button, I'm going to go to Allie and Sally and then come back to Mark.
Hi, I'm Allie Krasinski from Milwaukee, and I am a DA. And I'm Sally from Milwaukee, and I'm also a DA. Hello.
And who do you guys work with who?
We work with Dave Paskey.
Dave Paskey, perfect. All right, so let's see, Mark, have you got the mute figured out? Not yet, so let's go to Adam Alexander, and then we'll hit Paul Dunn.
Hey guys, I'm a DA out of Brighton, Michigan. I'm under Rob Lacrosse.
Nice. And Paul Dunn, and then Greg Siddons.
Yes, good afternoon. Paul Dunn from the beautiful vacation land of Cape Cod, where I'm a DA working with the Beauregard brothers.
Nice. Greg, and then we'll come back to Mark.
Hi, my name's Greg Siddons. I'm based out of the New York City metropolitan area, about an hour north of New York City. I'm a franchise owner.
Nice. Mark.
Hi, my name is Craig. I'm a design associate. I'm from Creamery, New Jersey.
he is working, Arlen, he is working on my computer. That's why my name is showing up. Okay.
Yep. So Craig, could you, in the top right-hand corner of your Zoom screen, hit the three little dots and change your name? And it's no problem. You can change it back or the next time Mark logs into a Zoom, it'll automatically change it back. So let's go to Mersha and then Spencer.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mersha Dilbert. I am just outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am a franchise owner.
Nice. Spencer, and then we're headed to Keith Thomas.
I'm Spencer Akers, and I am a franchise owner in North Minneapolis.
Nice. Keith, and then let's go to Steve Randolph.
Hi, everybody. Keith Thomas. I'm in Ashaway, Rhode Island, and I'm a franchise owner.
Nice. So we're headed to Steve and then Paul Beaudry.
Steve Randolph, Tampa, Florida, design associate.
And Steve, can you turn your camera on?
Yeah.
And we'll go to Jeff, and then we'll go to Marnie. Or, I'm sorry, Paul and then Marnie.
Hi, Paul Boudry, Grand Rapids, Michigan, design associate.
Nice. Marnie and then Sherry.
Hi,
Hi, Sherry
Morning,
Bugel.
Mark.
I'm from Plainfield, Illinois. The franchise there, I'm a new design associate for Karen and Matt Ferguson.
Nice. I love Karen and Matt. Let's see. We've got Sherry, and then we've done Sherry, and now, all right, Marnie moved out of the way. So y'all quit switching places on my screen.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Marnie Marsh, Plano, Texas, and I'm under John Conroy.
Nice. And
PA.
let's see. How about Dave? Thank you. How about David and Lisa Hawkins?
Hey, y'all. It's David Hawkins, Nashville, Tennessee owner.
Hey, Arlen, Savannah's requesting that you check the entry to let people in. I guess there's quite a few folks waiting to come in. That's from Savannah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good. So where were we? Lisa Hawkins.
Yeah, my husband and I are franchise owners in Nashville. And I'm going to be working as the DA.
Nice. Good stuff. Okay, let's see. David Lee and then Billy Cummins.
Yeah, David Lee. I'm just north of Seattle, but less room to type, so Seattle. And I'm a franchise owner.
Nice. And let's see, Billy, and then we're going to Dan Adkins.
Billy Cummings. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm actually a project manager, future franchise owner.
Nice, nice. Dan and then Tom Reeve.
Yep, I'm Dan Adkins. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, and I am a franchise owner.
Nice. Tom, and then I believe it's Jennifer Evington, if I'm not mistaken.
Tom Reeve. I am a new design associate in Oak Brook, Illinois, working for Norma and Mike Gagliano.
Nice, nice, nice. Let's see, Jennifer and then Roll.
Hey, I'm Jennifer Evington, Welford, South Carolina, with Janet Rosman.
Oh, you're not far from me.
Nope.
You are not far from me. Good. Let's see, Raul and then Dan Lyman.
Raul Guelvis, Savannah, Georgia. I'm a franchise owner with my wife and my daughter.
Nice, nice, nice.
Hi, I'm
Dan
Dan
and then
Lyman.
Josefina.
Yeah, sorry, Dan Lyman. I'm in Northern Virginia, new franchise owner, hoping to open in April.
Deal. There's no hope about it. You're opening in April. Let's get that language right.
As long as
Words
Virginia
matter.
cooperates, I agree with you.
All right, let's see. Josefina and then Will Skaggs.
Hi, my name is Josefina. I'm a franchisee owner and I'm in Southeast Orlando.
Nice. Will,
Hi,
and
my
then
name's
we're
Will.
headed to Jake Evans.
Yeah, my name's Will Skaggs. I'm currently a DA underneath Jeremy Tucker right now, right outside St. Louis, Missouri.
Louis, baby. You didn't have anything interesting happening here recently, did you?
Oh, no, nothing too interesting.
Nothing to it. Got it. All right, let's see. How about Jake?
Yeah, I'm Jake
Evans. I'm a design associate here in Utah, and I'm under Adrian Norm.
Good stuff. All right, I've got April Dryden and then Ethan Campbell.
Hello, everyone. I'm April Dryden. I'm a new design associate, and I am from Midlothian, Virginia, outside of Richmond, and I'm working under Marie Mahoney.
Where'd we go? All right, so I lost my place because there were people that.
I think it's me, Ethan.
Yep, Ethan.
All right, I'm Ethan Campbell. I'm a design associate. I'm working under Terry Turman in Indiana.
Fun stuff, fun stuff. All right, let's see where we can pick up here. Let's go to Olivia, and then we're going to Aaron Burrell.
Hey, I'm Olivia Karcher, located in Savannah, Georgia, owner with Raul.
All right, Aaron, and then Jalen.
I'm Aaron Burrell. I'm in Toledo, Ohio, and I'm a design associate.
Good. Jalen, and then Jenny Winky.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Jalen Mims. I am part of the corporate IT team over here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Good stuff. Jenny, and did I say their last name correctly?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Jenny Winke. I'm out of Houston, Texas, and I'm with Mike and Kim Gustafson.
Good stuff. All right, let's go to Julie and then Janie.
Hello, my name is Julie Vernetti in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm a design associate with Rick Webster.
Good stuff. Janie and then Rocky.
My name is Janie Sandberg. My husband and I are franchise owners in Southeast Las Vegas. So we're the other vacation town. If you don't want to go to Cape Cod, you can come here.
One's a lot warmer than the other right now. Good. Rocky and then Axel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rocky Marciano out of Twin Falls, Idaho. I'm a franchisee owner. Pleasure meeting everyone.
Good stuff. All right, Bridget and then Vincent.
Hi, I'm Brigitte Black, and I'm based out of Plano, Texas, just north of Dallas, with John Conroy. I'm a design associate.
Vince
Brigitte,
Wallace.
right? I'll get it
Brigitte.
right. Vince Wallace and then Evan.
Vince Wallace, owner, also in Texas, in Forney in the DFW area.
Good stuff. Evan, and then we're headed to Chad Whaley.
Hi, I'm Evan Schaffner. I'm outside of Philadelphia, and I am a franchise owner.
All right, Chad, and then I don't know who Beto is, but we're going to figure that out in just a minute.
Hello, everybody. Chad Whaley. I'm in the southern Indianapolis area as a DA under Jason Barrett.
Nice. All right, Beto, you're up.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Beto Tenorio. I'm in Northeast Atlanta. I'm a new design associate working for Jenny Hung.
Okay, all right, so that's why I don't recognize the name. You don't have your email set up yet.
Yeah, it's not being set up yet. Sorry.
Good. All right, no problem. That's not your fault. It just hasn't been done yet, but that's why I didn't recognize the name right off. All right, good. Let's go to Ashley Birdsall and then Brett Johnson.
I am a new franchise owner down in Long Beach, California, just south of Los Angeles.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Brett.
Brett Johnson, new franchise owner in Des Moines, Iowa.
Wow. All right. So Jeff Rakowitz and then Kyle.
Wrong button. Jeff Rakowitz from San Antonio West. I'm with Augustine and Christy.
Nice. And Kyle. Kyle, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Alrighty, I'm a new design associate with Chris at FCI in Mesa, Arizona.
Gotcha. Kyle, what's your last name?
It's Behan, Behan.
Good stuff. All right, let's see. Who have I missed? So I've got a Bob Hogan listed on the screen. If you would turn your camera on and introduce yourself, sir.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I'm a DA under Jason Barana.
So do you go by Hogan, or see in the system it has AYDT?
Yeah, so Hogan's a middle name that I use. It's less confusing. So
Gotcha. All right, gotcha. Let's see. Who have I missed? I think I've missed Jeff Norris. If you can turn your camera on, that would be helpful.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm trying to figure out how to turn it on.
So down at the bottom left, there should be a little icon that says Start Video.
Yes, and it says stop video now.
Oh, all right. Well then, that's a local computer thing. So if you would just introduce yourself, and we'll figure out the camera later.
My name is Jeff Norris. I'm a sales associate. I work for Charles Sinclair in Louisville, Kentucky.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay. Who have I missed? If I have missed you, it was not intentional. Please speak up.
I'm Heather Jorgensen, outside of Kansas City with Joe Barker, design associate.
Nice.
I'm Axel Gomez from Norfolk, Virginia, and I'm an owner.
All right, who else did I miss? Anybody else? I missed Barry. I know that right away.
Hi, I'm Barry. I'm in the corporate office doing marketing.
Good stuff. Anybody else? Anybody I missed? Please speak up. All right, good. So let's jump into this, shall we? Let me share my screen with you, and we are going to get into this. Now, I never like to start a webinar by saying this is going to be bad, but this is going to be bad. This is the out of the several calls that we're going to do. So we're going to have one call per week for the next 5 weeks, and then we're going to have 1 week where we got 4 days back to back. Out of all 9 calls, this one is the absolute worst, and I apologize for it today. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. The reason that it is the worst is because I'm going to do a lot of talking today. And in subsequent webinars, we're going to spend a lot of time in breakout rooms and giving you guys a chance to talk to one another and giving you guys a chance to practice things. But today I need to do sort of an overview with you. And the only way to do it is for me to do the overview. So with that in mind, let me just go ahead and dive right in. So we've done our transfer in. I want to find out from you, and just do this in the chat box. Go into the chat box and just drop in, what are your expectations for this class? In other words, what are you hoping to get out of this? You've dedicated some time, you've set aside some precious moments of your day to be able to spend some time in this thing called an inspired sale class. And if you would just drop in the chat box, what are you expecting to get out of this? And I'll read a few of them as they pop in. All right, so we've got strengths and weaknesses. Good stuff, good stuff. All right, so just some more knowledge in general. So while you guys are doing that, who here has a background in specifically in flooring sales? I can't see everybody on the screen at one time, so that means if you would take yourself off mute and say, yeah, I do.
Tom Reeve, yes, I do.
Nice. Anyone else?
Paul Boudre, yes, I worked for our main competitor for several months.
Paul Dunn, I work for a high-end home builder.
Nice, nice. All right. So we've got 2 or 3 people. Good stuff. All right. So how many of you have, never mind flooring, how many of you have sales experience? Just straight up sales experience?
Yeah, it's Brett. I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jenny Winky, I do.
I do. Dave Lee, I do.
Jennifer Evington, I do.
Jeff Norris.
Aaron Burrell.
Good, 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 good.
Tom Reeve as well.
Sherry Bugel.
Nice. Nice.
Rocky
All right,
Marciano.
so-
Good.
Mark says 30 years sales experience. Great stuff. All right. So here's where I hope that my expectations, your expectations, sort of what we are expecting to get out of this class, I'm hoping that all this stuff comes together, right? That's the whole point of this. So just when it comes to meeting cadence, when it comes to expectations specifically around the class, I'm going to ask that you be focused, that you be engaged, that you attend the webinars, that you complete your homework, that you ask for help when you need it, okay? So it's really, really easy on a webinar in general. I mean, never mind the fact that we've got 50 people on this one. Never mind the fact that there's just, there's a lot of distractions in the world today. I mean, this cell phone can be a wonderful thing, but it can also be a huge distraction, right? It's hard enough on a Zoom meeting to just stay focused. So my challenge to you is going to be to do everything you possibly can to eliminate distractions, to stay focused. One of the things that's a big, big help is if you will keep your camera turned on. It helps everybody else see your face. And when I am looking at you on the screen, it gives me the opportunity to see facial expressions as well. So I'm going to do my best to sort of get to know you virtually as we go through this together. But that makes it really, really hard to do if I can't see you. So I'm going to ask that you keep your cameras turned on as much as you possibly can. I'm going to ask that you be engaged. So ask questions. If you raise your hand and I don't see you, it's not that I'm ignoring you. I literally have 3 pages worth of people. So I may or may not see you at all times. So my request is that if you have a question, take yourself off mute, interrupt me, and let's deal with it. I will present to you the Inspired Sales System, and I will present to you the Inspired Sales System unapologetically. Now, I will also show you where, hey, this isn't a mandatory, you have to do blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of flexibility in this sales system, but this sales system works really, really well. Are you going to close at 100% close rate? No, you're not. Nobody's going to close at 100% close rate. But using this sales system, you can absolutely improve a close rate. So whether you've got 1 year experience, 30 years experience, or absolutely 0 sales experience, if you will adopt this sales system and say, yep, I'm going to give this the good old college try, this is a very, very successful sales system. All right, so what are we going to look at today? I'm going to show you briefly, and I'm probably going to wait and do this at the end. I want to show you what our scorecard looks like. We'll talk a little bit about customers and brands. We're going to spend the bulk of our time around the Inspired Sales System. For like 30 seconds, we're going to spend some time around resources and tools, and then, yep, we'll talk about what to do in terms of homework. So again, stop me at any point, and I'm going to come back to the scorecard review. So again, in the chat box, who is, in your opinion, who is our customer? So who are you going to identify and say, that's a customer of mine? Let's see whose fingers get there fastest. So we've got homeowners, business owners, specifically female homeowners, anybody that needs a floor. I like that. So now we get specific age demographics and that sort of thing. So homeowners with a specific age. So David, you put homeowners ages 30 to 65 with a home value over 500K. Can you take yourself off mute and sort of elaborate on that a little bit?
I will certainly try to. It's a little bit what we heard in Atlanta, and it just makes sense that 30 and up seem to be kind of prime from an age point of view. Obviously, homeowners and homeowners that have a pretty nice place. I'll call that generically, and so that's in Nashville. That tends to be $500,000 and up kind of houses.
Okay, all right. So then, Marnie, if you'll take yourself off mute, you said 35 plus homeowners. So if you'd elaborate on that for a second. Where'd Marnie go?
Sorry about that.
There we go.
I think I just remember seeing 35 to 60 homeowners, and I think females, well, anybody, I think, and that they need flooring needs.
Okay. All right, so let's see. April, if you don't mind taking yourself off mute, you put anyone that needs or wants a new floor. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, sure. I'm not a franchise owner, so I didn't think about someone's income or what kind of house they had. I just assumed that if someone needs or wants a floor, that I can help them.
Nice, nice. Okay. So one of my favorite answers to this, and I'm trying to read down through all of these. One of my favorite. Oh, there we go. Emily. Emily, take yourself off mute and explain what you wrote.
So I stated anyone that has a flooring need and anyone that has funds to do so.
There you go.
It's pretty much a customer of mine, or could be a customer of mine.
I love it. All right, so anybody that needs a new floor and somehow can find a way to pay for it. It doesn't necessarily mean they have cash. They might be doing some sort of financing, whatever. But if somebody needs a floor and has the money to pay for it, they could potentially be our customer. So while we might target certain marketing materials towards a specific demographic or towards a specific home value or whatever else, the reality is that anybody can be our customer. So I don't want us to limit ourselves and say, well, it has to be this age range, it has to be this income level, it has to be this, it has to be this. The reality is that anybody that needs a floor and somehow or another can figure out how to pay for it, those are our customers. Now, I'm going to go through this fairly quick because most of the time that we are going to spend together is going to be down here in this consultation phase. But I want to just introduce you to the idea of a customer journey. So a customer wakes up one day, or somebody wakes up one day, and this is going to sound really silly, but they become aware that they have a floor. Now, okay, I get it. If you had asked somebody, do you have a floor in your house? They're going to say yes. But at some point, people look around and they say, well, wait a minute. You know, my carpet's got stains on it, my hardwood's got scratches in it, there's something that's not quite right here. And they become aware of the fact that, you know what, there's something that could be done here differently. And that leads to this idea of a felt need. So somebody has a need that needs to be met. And that need might have to do with, well, I have stains in the carpet, and I'm just tired of looking at them. Or it might be tied to a particular event. So I have stains in my carpet, and I've got family coming over in next month for or let's say in May, I've got family coming over for a graduation celebration, and I want to get this done before then, right? So now all of a sudden there's this need, there's this pressing urgency. I need to do this. Then they make first contact with us. Now, first contact might be made at a home show. It might be somebody that I ran into on the street that happened to see a Floor Coverings International shirt and say, oh, you do flooring? If you haven't had the experience yet, at some point you'll have the experience where somebody simply sees you in the van in a parking lot and taps on the window and says, hey, I see you do flooring, can you give me an estimate? That's going to be especially true when you're running one appointment and a neighbor down the street sees the van and taps on the window. That first contact might be somebody that found you on Home Advisor, Thumbtack, 3Ships, through some sort of digital media. Maybe they went to your website, they found the call center, whatever. First contact is all about marketing. As a matter of fact, this whole idea of making people aware of a floor and getting them to feel a need and that first contact, these three boxes really, really, really have a lot to do with marketing. So what we're going to spend the bulk of our time on in the next few weeks is the consultation phase. So the first contact has been made, and now we have an appointment on our calendar, and what are we going to do with that? How are we going to convert that appointment into a landed sale? Once the sale is made, then how does the production arm of our business actually deliver the floor, deliver the promises that we made, install the floor? And then we're going to go back and confirm that everything was done exactly like we said we were going to do. Did we actually keep our promises? And we can get into what does it mean to have a residual meaning with the customer so that, you know, every 6 months or so, they look at that floor and say, wow, they really did a nice job. And some people will argue that this really ties into marketing. I would agree with that. I also would agree that this has everything to do with how well that production experience went. So this is sort of the full circle of the customer journey. Now, like I said, in this class in particular, what we're going to focus our time on is this consultation phase, okay? So while all the rest of this is really, really important, this is where we're going to focus our time. I just want to ask you a question. Maybe you've recently purchased something, might have been a car, might have been a piece of furniture, might have been some sort of home improvement thing. You can think about your own experience, or you can make it more generic. What do you think is the number one reason out of every possible decision-making practice, whatever that people go through? What is the number one reason people decide to buy from that company, from that individual, for that product? So let's say I decide to go buy a car. What makes me make that buying decision?
Trust.
Trust. So we've got the sales so if this is over and over and over again that's popping up here, the number one reason that people buy is because of the person that they worked with. It's the number one reason. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about a house, it doesn't matter if you're talking about a car, it doesn't matter if you're talking about a home improvement. It absolutely has to do with the person that they dealt with. So what about the second reason? What's the number two reason that people choose to make a buying decision? I'm going to buy here. What's the number two reason?
It's an emotional decision.
Price, service, within budget. I'm seeing all sorts of stuff here.
They trust the company.
Ah, look at that, the company, okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and pop the next slide up here. The number one reason that people buy from you is because of the person that they dealt with. In other words, the reason that they're going to buy from Adam Alexander is because they just like Adam Alexander. That's it, okay? The second reason that people are going to make a purchasing decision is going to have to do with the company. All right, now I've had people say, well, there's no way in the world that I would buy something just because of a company name. And I'm going to point you to the people that stand in line and even camp out overnight at the Apple store right before the next Apple product shows up, okay? Or the person that absolutely has to go to Starbucks every morning to get Starbucks, even though there's a ton of other coffee options that are out there. But Starbucks is the thing. The third reason that people buy is because of the product itself. So I fell in love with Will. I love what he's all about. I fell in love with his company and everything that they're doing in St. Louis. And you know what? Will showed me a product that really works for me. And then finally, let's just be real, price is part of the equation, okay? So just because I really liked Will and I really like the company and I really like the product doesn't mean I'm going to pay 4 times as much for it, okay? I might pay a little bit more for it. So when you think about this formula, right, people, this is all about our behavior. When we walk in the door, can we get to know somebody? Can we develop, it doesn't have to be trust, because trust, I don't know if I trust you, but I like you well enough, okay? Company, what is the company's reputation? So this is where, sure, online reviews and company reputation and what the company's doing in the community and all that stuff is really important. And then, of course, product. Okay, we've got over 3,000 samples in the van. Can I pick a product that meets this customer's needs? And then price, it doesn't have to be the cheapest price, but I have to be able to show the customer the value of what they're getting. So I want to talk a little bit about your chance of a customer actually buying from you. There are some people that are going to buy from you regardless. Now, I say that I don't mean like you can get away with everything. I mean, if you're friendly and you connect with people and, maybe you took a bath, that's probably a good thing. But if you're friendly and you go into the home and there's a connection that's made, and if you can competently show them a price, so by competent, I mean that you've got the right things on your estimate and, the price is within reason. It doesn't have to be the cheapest, but it's just within reason. There are some people that are going to buy from you really, if you can, I simplify this and say, if you can smile and flip a price, there's a certain number of people that will buy from you, okay? On the other extreme, there are people that no matter what you do, Doesn't make any difference. No matter what you do, you're never selling to this person. So maybe they're just tire kickers. Maybe they have no intention of buying. They're just, they just want to see some carpet and they want to see what it looks like in your house. Okay. Maybe it's, I don't know, they're having a bad day. I'll share with you as we go through the weeks, I'll share with you some of my favorite stories, some of customers that were really, really good and some of them that were really, really bad. I think about one woman in particular that, when I got to the door, I literally kicked the dog. The dog goes yelping off into the back. I don't even want to work with this woman at this point. I literally got kicked out of the house within 5 minutes, and all I was trying to do was be polite to her. So, that's okay. There's no chance I'm ever selling to that person. Okay. Then there's people in the middle. So you've got about a 20% chance. You've got about 20% of the people that are going to buy from you, as long as you are pleasant, as long as you can smile and flip a price. So if you're pleasant and you can competently show them a price, you should land at about 20%. Which means, okay, let's push this down the road a little ways. If a month from now, if 2 months from now, if 3 months from now, if you're not at least landing at 20%, then that tells me either one, you're not connecting with people, or two, you just don't know how to do an estimate, right? There's a technical thing and maybe we can work through that, okay? So you should at least be able to get to a 20% close rate just by being nice to people and being able to competently show a price, all right? There's 20% of the people that are never going to buy from you. So, which leaves 60% in the middle. So let me ask you something. Do you need a detailed process? Do you need a disciplined process? Do you need a sales system to get this 20% to buy from you? No, you don't. I can walk into, I don't have to follow a system. I don't have to follow a process. I can walk in the door and be nice to people and flip a price, and I can land at 20%. Okay? Am I ever, if you can imagine all the possibilities, am I ever going to be able to design a sales system that's going to get this 20%? No, because there's nothing I can do to influence these people. So the whole reason that we have a sales system is this 60%. So like I said, if you're closing at less than a 20% close rate, then there's probably, honestly, I imagine that you guys are nice people. My guess is that there's something technically, like you're struggling to competently be able to come up with an estimate, and that's a skill that just needs to be learned. The whole point of having a sales system is to be able to influence this 60%. So how well you move from 20% to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60, how well you move from that has everything to do with your skill in being able to deliver a sales system that's an effective sales system. So let me stop here and see if there's any questions on this. Disagreements? Does somebody want to ring the BS bell?
I got a question, Arlen. Where does the emotional decision-making come in here on the customer side? I find that most of the time customers make the decision to buy emotionally, and then they come up with all kinds of reasons to justify it intellectually.
You are 100% correct, and that's why the sales system that we use to influence this 60%, this is absolutely an emotional sales system, 100%. I completely agree with you. Okay, so how do we become the customer's choice? Well, let's talk about our brand. So what is a brand? When I say brand, what is a brand?
Brand is a promise.
Ooh, I like that, a promise. Good, what else?
Brand is reputation.
Reputation, okay, good. Craig, can you give me an example of a brand with a strong reputation? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, for example, when I was looking into floor covering international, the first thing that I did is I do my research and I realized that it has great reputation. So based on the reviews that I've seen, it really they talk about a lot of the reputation. So they're always on time, they deliver as they promise. So it builds a great reputation. So that's a perfect example.
Fantastic. Good. Other brands that you guys can think of that have a great reputation?
Mercedes.
All right, Janie, so what about Mercedes?
Well, they're fashionable and they're reliable and they're beautiful and they're fun to drive. And I mean, they're just like the whole package of a really classy car.
And when I used to do a lot of travel in Europe, with the company that I was with before Floor Coverings International, I found that in Germany, all the taxis are Mercedes. I mean, imagine that. Imagine
crazy.
that. The taxis are Mercedes. It's good.
And no speed
All
limit.
right, so let's see. What else have we got? Apple. So somebody that said Apple, what makes Apple such a strong brand in your mind? So we've got Ashley or Rocky, whoever's fastest on the draw here.
The product and service that they give. They're always on top of their updates. Their products are phenomenal. They stand by what they provide or what they sell.
Nice. Ashley, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would add just that it's recognizable. I mean, you can go anywhere in the world and everyone sees the little apple and knows what they are and what they sell.
Nice.
There's also
right.
brand loyalty as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's talk for just a second about Floor Coverings International as a brand. Okay, so this is who we are. So our vision statement is to provide the best in-home flooring experience in North America, and to have 250 franchisees that average $2 million a year in sales. So essentially, if I make this easier to read, to be the best in field and to have large profitable franchises. So is it important to you, and I want to specifically ask the design associates on the call, is it important to you that you are selling for the best in class? Is that important to you and why? So a couple of DAs, take yourself off mute and tell me why you think it's important that you're selling for the best in class.
Yes.
All right, so I think that was Ethan.
Yeah, sorry.
Elaborate.
I can't sell something that I don't believe in as well. If I wouldn't put it in my own home, then I can't sell it.
Nice. Okay. All right. Somebody else.
It makes our job easier.
Explain. How does that make it easier?
When you look at the reviews and everything like that, you have a 4.8 nationwide. So when people are researching and doing their thing, trying to figure out which direction they want to go, you have this backing with this national brand with the reviews, and it's very beneficial to us when we're out in the field trying to make a sale.
Nice. All right, now Jeff, you're in San Antonio, right?
Yes, sir.
Does it really matter to you what Paul does up in Cape Cod? I mean, that's a long way away. Does that really matter?
No, but they, like anybody who does research online, you can see it's all franchises, and they can look around and you can pinpoint, oh, maybe the Rhode Island one does suck or whatever. But again, you can differentiate wherever you're at in wherever state you're at to review what you need to do to make a decision.
Sure. Yep. So it does matter. I mean, at the end of the day, it does matter because our world is very, very small. When I look online for reviews for Floor Coverings International, I'm going to see not only the ones in South Carolina, but I'm going to see what's happening in Texas. I'm going to see what's happening in California. And if I see that there are locations that are really bad, that might influence my decision as a potential customer. All right, so now let me also ask the design associates this question. Does it matter to you that you're working for a franchise location that is actually profitable? Does that matter to you? Does it matter to you if your owner is actually the owner of your business, not your owner, but that the owner of your business is actually making any money? Does that matter to you?
Yes, it does.
All right,
Yeah.
so Aaron, I think that was Aaron. So Aaron, why does that matter to you?
I've got 20 years of home remodeling experience, and we all have ran across the mom and pop shops or the guy that's trucking a truck. And it's very hard to instill to the customer that, hey, yes, we're a successful franchise, we're going to deliver. Goes back to believe in the product. You have to believe in the company, the system, and the owner.
Nice. Okay. So if I turn my attention now to our values, okay, these are like our top 5 values. Deliver what you promise. And when we call this a value, this is more than just, it's more than just, okay, I promised the customer that we were going to put in a hardwood floor, and we put in a hardwood floor, but it really gets into the fabric of everything that we do. And I'll just make this really personal. So for me, if I tell you that I'm going to send you something by email or whatever, then I've made a promise to you. And even though that seems like a small thing, it's a big thing to me that I'm going to keep my promise. Okay? And so that's part of the company culture, is that we deliver what we promise. We do what we say we're going to do. We're going to respect the individual. And, you know, that obviously has an impact in a classroom setting like this. But it also has a big impact on what we do when we're running appointments in the field. So if I roll up in the mobile showroom and I pull up in front of a single wide mobile home, I'm still going to give that customer the same level of respect and individual attention as I would if I walked into a home that's a $14 million home. The reality is that these are human beings that we're working with, and so we're going to respect the individuals. Absolutely having pride in what we do. So if there's ever a day that you don't feel comfortable wearing a Floor Coverings International shirt, then there's a problem, and we need to figure out what that problem is, because we absolutely should have pride in the service that we deliver, in the company that we stand for. Being open-minded to possibilities and practicing continuous improvement. I will tell you that I spent 30 years in the world of manufacturing, and I thought that I knew what continuous improvement felt like. But the speed at which things change at Floor Coverings International is unlike anything that I've ever seen before. This is one of the most adaptable companies that I've ever been a part of. And sometimes that rapid change can be head spinning. But the reality is, I mean, like when COVID hit and we immediately switched gears, and when COVID started to fade away and we're switching gears and we're doing this and we're doing this, there's a ton of continuous improvement that happens, and it does so at a very, very rapid pace, and that keeps us on the forefront of what's going on. And then engaging in the community and making it fun. Now, on one level, your community is your geographic area, right? So for Marnie, that's Plano, Texas, and the area around there. But in another sense, your community is this community. It's this class. I mean, you now have 50 people that you can engage with to look for help, to get, solutions to problems, for whatever else, right? So one of the things that's going to come out of today is I will set up a group me. There'll be more details in the recap email that I send you, but I will set up a group me for this group specifically, so that you guys can engage with each other, so that you've got you won't have each other's personal numbers, but you'll be able to engage through the group me. And it's a great way of staying in contact with one another and asking each other for help long after the class is done. So a little bit about our standards. So we're going to be available when the customer needs us. Every time we run an appointment, we're going to be in branded apparel, we're running in a mobile showroom, and we're going to be on time every time. Now, the Inspired Sales Standards, we're going to go into Inspired Sales Standards in depth in just a minute. But before I dive into the Inspired Sales System, any questions about what we've done so far? All right, good. So the Inspired Sales System, what is it? Well, first and foremost, it is a repeatable and coachable system. So you'll notice I didn't say first and foremost it's a consistent brand experience. Yes, it is a consistent brand experience, and I fully believe in that, okay? But to me, the most important thing about having a consistent system across the network is that it's repeatable and coachable. So think about this for a moment. Let's fast forward 6 months from now. And you guys are running, you're gunning, you're out there doing your thing, and maybe you've achieved a 35, 40% close rate, wherever it is that you're at. Okay, the number doesn't matter right this second. But you say, I want to get better. Okay, well, you call me and say, can you help me with this, or can you help me get my close rate up, or whatever else? Well, if we're speaking the same language and we're doing the same thing, then absolutely I can coach you. If, and I'm going to pick on, let's see, I'll pick on Jeff because he's down there with Christy, and I love Christy and Augustine. I love them to death, right? So if Jeff calls me and says, hey, can you help me? And I say, okay, well, are we doing this? Are we doing this? He says, well, no, I'm using the Christy system. Well, I don't know the Christy system. I can't help. It's not that I don't want to help. I absolutely do want to help. And it gives you the opportunity to help one another as well. So, you know, Marnie calls up David Hawkins in Nashville and says, what, can you help me here? And David says, well, what are you doing? And, well, I don't know what that is. I can't help. So being able to coach one another, being able to help one another, making this repeatable is huge. So let's dive into what it is. Let's demystify this inspired sales system. I just want to ask you to start with, we're going to start with a blank sheet of paper. And all I want to do, without calling it an inspired sales system, without even calling it a Floor Coverings International thing, you might not even call it a flooring thing. I just want to know, if you were going to go to a customer's home, you knock on the door, what is the first thing you want to do with this customer?
Greet them.
Build rapport.
Introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Get to know them.
Yeah. I want to introduce myself, and somebody said, who said build rapport? Was that
I do.
Craig?
Yeah, agree.
Okay. So I just want to build some rapport with the customer. Why is that so important?
You're building trust.
Small talk is that, small talk.
Basically, you're starting to tear down the wall that they've built prior to your arrival.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
The foundation.
So Tom, I know when I grew up, if somebody rang the doorbell as kids, I mean, we would practically jump over the couch to run to the front door to see who it was, right? I mean, there's people that are here, and this is exciting because somebody's now at the door, and I'm going to the door, and I'm going to see who it is, right? And that's the way it was when I grew up. Today, what happens when you ring the doorbell? You ring the doorbell, and everybody hides behind the couch, and they check their phone to see who it is on the on the camera that's outside, because everybody's scared to death to go to the front door. It's a different world, okay? So when I walk in the door, never mind the fact that the first thing that people see is, oh, this is somebody that's trying to get to my wallet, and I need to protect that. This puts a lot of, not pressure, but I absolutely have to build some rapport with people. So during this process, I'm going to encourage you to go do some secret shopping. Have another company come to your house. You're going to find how unbelievably horrible this business is. Not Floor Coverings International, but this industry. Because everybody comes to the door, and the first thing they do, if there's any small talk at all, it's, well, how long have you lived in this house? Well, that's probably irrelevant. And then they want to go right to, let's go measure the space, with very, very little rapport building. And it's so important. If the number one reason that people buy is because of the person, this is my opportunity to get them to see me as a person and not as just a salesperson. Okay, so now let's say that we've had whatever it is, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and all we've done is talk about the person. We have not talked about the floor at all. I've learned that this person loves to vacation. I found out that last year they went to Greece, and we've spent 10 minutes looking at vacation pictures from Greece. And we had a wonderful time just getting to know one another. That's it. Nothing to do with the floor. Now we need to talk about the floor, because I mean, that's why I'm here. So what is the next thing that I want to do in our whiteboard from scratch basic sales process?
Get to understand the customer needs, what they're looking for.
What are they trying to achieve?
Right, we're trying to achieve this.
Good. Yep. So I want to figure out what they currently have and what they need. Okay. So when I talk about assessing the current situation, I mean things like, what is the floor that's here today? Which the only reason that I care is because I really want to understand what they don't like about this floor. And I need to know from a pricing perspective what it's going to cost to rip it out. And then what the customer's needs are. What do you want your new floor to look like? What do you want it to feel like? How do you want it to last? Okay, good. So I've had a chance building rapport. I've had a chance to just get to know the customer, and they've had a chance to get to know me a little bit. And now we've had a discussion and probably walked the space together to understand what they want their new floor to look like. What do we probably need to do next?
Advise them on the right product.
Need to diagram the space so you know what you can then move on to the company story and product selection.
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's measure it. You've got 3 bedrooms and a hallway. Okay, well, good. Well, let me get out my little measuring device and let me measure up 3 bedrooms and a hallway. I mean, I need to know what my square footage is that I'm dealing with. I need to know what the space is. And when I say price the job, let me just be clear here. This price is what I'm going to call my rough draft. Okay, we'll get to details later. I'm not giving the customer a price yet. We haven't picked a product yet, but this gets me in the ballpark. Okay, this gets me 98% of the way there. Okay, and somebody said doing the company story. So once I've done that, I absolutely want to spend some time explaining who we are and what we do. Can somebody tell me why it's important that we do this step where we explain who we are and what we do?
We're trying to build the reasons why they should use us before we tell them the price and they object to the price. We want to set up the credibility of here's all the great things about us, here's all the things we're going to do for you. So they already have that in mind.
Good, good. I like that. Anyone else?
Yeah. Differentiate ourselves from other companies.
Yeah, Axel says we have to differentiate. Brett, you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say articulate the value of what we're going to provide, product and service wise.
Yep. And Adam is paying attention. It's the second reason why people buy. So we're doing these in order. Look, the first reason, we're building rapport with the customer. The second reason is the company. How many of you, before you started researching franchises, before you started researching where's my next job going to be, how many of you had heard of Floor Coverings International?
Not me.
Marnie says yes, right? Marnie
I
knew.
do.
Marnie, how did you know about it?
I actually saw a van, one of the vans around town.
Okay, all right. You had seen a van. Okay. As we get bigger, that's going to happen more and more often, right?
Yep.
Okay. So anybody see one of the TV commercials? No, of course not, because we don't run a bunch of TV commercials. What about radio ads? No, probably not that, because we don't do a ton of radio ads. You saw billboards going up and down the interstate. Nope, you probably didn't see that either, okay? So the reality is that most of the people that you go to see have no idea who you are. They don't know that our sales process is different. They don't know that our production process is different. They don't know that our process for doing a job is different unless you explain it to them, okay? That's why this is such an important step. All right, so we had a chance to warm up with a customer and build some rapport. We had a chance to understand what they need. We had a chance to measure everything up, and we've got sort of a rough idea about what the price is going to look like. We've explained who we are and what we do. What else do we need to do?
Products, figure out what products they need and show them the products.
There you go. Let's help the customer pick a product. And now that we've got the exact product, now I can just very quickly, 20 seconds, I can go in and just make a quick alteration to my rough draft so that I can give the customer the exact what?
Price.
Price. I need to be able to present price and ask for the sale.
Adrian?
Okay.
Adrian, I found that if you ask the customer, which I never want to ask ever, and I never do, have you gotten other quotes? The best question you can ask is, have you seen anything that you like? Because they're going to direct you, and 90% of the times I find they either have a sample or they have a picture on their phone of exactly what they're looking for. But what's idiotic is most customers don't tell us unless we ask.
I love it. Yeah, asking questions is a big thing, right? Okay. So let me ask you guys this question. And by the way, after every sales process, there's paperwork, there's follow-up. I'm going to take those two back off the screen for just a second. Is there anyone that would have a debate that would have an argument against what we've put on the screen so far? Somebody looks at this and says, no, I don't think we need to do this. No, I don't think we need to do that. Does anybody have a debate about what we've got on the screen right now?
Hey, Arlen, it's David.
Yeah, David.
The only thing that strikes me a little bit odd is that we measure and estimate the job in our head before we explain who we are and what we do. I would have thought they explain who we are and what we would do would be before we go measuring.
Agreed.
Okay, all right. So as we go through the sales process, I will explain why this is the way that it is. The sequencing is the way that it is. But just to sort of give you a little foretaste of why that's that way. So if I've built rapport with the customer, that means I'm probably sitting in the living room or sitting in the kitchen with them. And then when we're walking around the house, now we're up on our feet and we're walking around the house. It's just a natural place to then take and say, okay, I'm going to measure this up, right? So it's just a natural place to do this. The customer goes and does other things while I'm measuring the space. I then go out to the van and pull product, and when I come back from the van and I go into the house, that's when I'm going to sit back down with the customer and walk through the company story with them. So we'll go into more detail as we break this down the road. But good question, and for sure we're going to dive into that. Any other doubts or concerns about what we've got on the screen?
Yeah, Arlen, just a question. So historically, do people run into objections to say, hey, before I let you walk around my house, like and measure, like I need to know more about who you are?
I've never heard that.
No? Okay.
I've never heard that. I mean, and keep in mind, Brett, that we've probably spent 10 or 15 minutes with them building some rapport with them.
Yep.
So at that point, yeah, I trust you enough to be able to go measure. I mean,
okay.
And the reality is, if a customer wants to walk around with me while I'm measuring, I don't care. It's not a big deal. They can watch me with the little laser.
Well, and I think it's a great idea because obviously what you're doing is every other company comes in and does it the other way. That's why people are saying, wow, why don't you do it this way? So obviously whatever you guys are doing, it's also making the customer feel comfortable in this new natural flow. If they've had somebody else come out, they kind of know, oh, well, this is going to happen and this is going to happen, where we're doing something totally different.
There you go. Good. All right. So I'm going to take this and we're going to break this. Now all I'm going to do is translate. Okay. I just want to translate this into inspired sales language, but I want you to see that this is at the core, this skeleton, right? So now this is just the backbone. This is the backbone of the inspired sales system. All right, so let's break it down. How do we build rapport with the customer? First of all, we have two places. We have a setup call and the warm-up. So a customer comes in, maybe they came through the website and they booked an appointment with us. One of the first things that we're going to do is do a setup call with them. Now, I take the inspired sale and I break it into a beginner level, an intermediate level, and an advanced level. So at the beginner level, what does a setup call look like? Well, a setup call looks like I introduce myself and the company. This is Arlen Brady with Floor Coverings International. Look, you've now been trained to do an introduction. Can I explain my COVID procedures? Now, I know in some parts of the country, COVID, what was that? In other parts of the country, it's still a big deal for people. So I'm not questioning your COVID procedures, just whatever they are, can you explain what your business does around that, if that's a thing for you where you geographically are? Can you confirm the date, the time, the address? Can you build a little bit of excitement in that setup call? Just get people excited about what you're doing. If you can do those things, you have now done a setup call. So we have a window, I like to use real stories. We have a window that has a crack in it. And I called a window company, and because of my travel, I've been out of the house for 3 weeks. And I had scheduled this appointment back a month ago. And I scheduled this appointment. I knew it was going to be a month before I saw the guy. There was no problem with that. I scheduled the appointment. The person that I talked to in their office was really, really nice. I never heard another word from them. It was a month that went by. Now, I will tell, the good news is that they did actually show up on time for the appointment. So they did that, but there was no call in between, which was really, really weird to me because a month went by. I mean, who's to say that I'm still interested in this, right? So, I mean, it's really kind of strange, but this is home improvement. This is what you're competing against. So if you can at least do this, then I would say that you just did a setup call. You can check it off the list. Now, you want to get better at a setup call, there's some other things that you can do. So could you ask if anybody else needs to be there to have input into the project? Can you set some expectations around the appointment so that the customer knows what to expect? Can you ask who referred you to Floor Coverings International? We're going to break these up in detail next week. But for today, just know that those are more intermediate steps. And at an advanced step, can you imagine if you had a setup call with somebody, you know, they're going to come to your house to look at windows, and at the end of that call, they said, hey, you know what? While I've got you on the phone, I'm just going to send you a quick link to our Google reviews so you can check us out before we get there. Well, that sounds like a really cool thing to do. That's not required. I mean, when I look at the inspired sale, what's required for a setup call? Well, just these 4 things at the bottom are required. These are just advanced techniques. These are more things that you can do to make that setup call a better setup call, both for you and the customer. Now, what about the warm-up? Well, if you can build rapport with the customer, then you've done a warm-up. And that might be 5 minutes, it might be 10 minutes, 20 minutes. There's not a time on it per se, but can you just get to know the customer? At an intermediate level, I want to be able to get some things, I want to be able to get some information that I can use later. So I want to find out during the warm-up, in about 45 minutes, I'm going to show this customer a price, and I want to know what BS reason they're going to give me down the road for not buying, and I want to know that now so that I can deal with it while I'm doing the appointment. I also want to gain some personal information from them so that I can really tailor my company story to them. So if I happen to be talking to that family that loves to go on vacations and had a great time in Greece, I'm going to weave that into my company story. I guarantee you my company story, we're going to talk about Greece, we're going to talk about what they saw. All this stuff is going to come right back to them in the company story, and we're going to personalize it. At an advanced level, there's some other things that we can do at an advanced level, like really understanding personality traits and how does that change what I'm going to do in the home to make sure that I'm addressing them the way they want to be communicated with. Okay, so bottom line, if you simply stick with, I'm doing the bare minimum, okay, you're doing the inspired sale, but as you add additional tactics, and that's what I'm going to call these things, these are additional tactics. You're getting better with the inspired sale, you're getting great with the inspired sale, and you would expect, and it's true, your close rate will go up, your average job size will go up, your paycheck will go up. I mean, all these things happen as a result of getting better with the inspired sale. So what about assessing the current situation? So step 2, we call it an inspection. At a beginner level, and there's a lot that happens in step 2. This is probably the most involved piece of this, because I need to be able to identify what the current flooring is and how it was installed. And that's important so that I know how to price the removal. I need to be able to identify what the subfloor is. I need to be able to identify what needs to be moved. In other words, is there a grandfather clock that has to be moved? If I'm working in a bathroom, is there a toilet that has to be moved? I mean, anything that's going to add price to this, I need to know what that is. I want to understand what the customer likes and doesn't like about their current flooring, and then I want to figure out what is their preference for what they want their new floor to look like and feel like and how they want it to last. So at the end of step 2, I mean, here we are very early in this process. I should be able, when I say leave the house, I don't mean drive away. I should be able to walk out the front door and walk to my van and pick a product that meets the customer's needs. So step 2 is the most, by the way, I will send you these slides, so take notes all you want to, but you will get a copy of these.
I was going to ask you that, Arlen. I'm sorry. I was just going to ask you that because I'm trying to write things down, but I'm not keeping up. So are we going to get a copy of this?
Yes,
so
absolutely. You
okay,
will get a copy of this. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Adrian, if I may, a quick question. Going back to step 1, you didn't mention this, but what we're doing in Oak Brook is we really want to just ask them in the setup call, the scope of the project they're contemplating. Because
Sure.
if they say, well, we're gonna want new flooring for the entire house. I'm gonna ask, how many rooms you're looking to do. I may ask, hardwood, are you looking to resand existing floors so that when we walk in, we've got a lot of info as to how we're to conduct that call. And do you think that wasn't listed as scope of work? Do you think we should?
No, I love that. Yeah,
Good.
no, I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. And we will, like I said, we'll dissect over the next few weeks. We're going to dissect each one of these steps, and we'll get into it. And we will talk about scope of work when we dive into the setup call. So 100% agree with you. Part of my caution with that is just sometimes customers don't really realize what we do. So they're calling you out to do carpet, and so you walk in and you think that all you're doing is carpet. And then as you're having a discussion with them, you realize, oh, wait a minute, they also want to look at hardwood and maybe even some tile. And so the scope can get much bigger once you get into the house, because on the setup call, you may or may not get into that level of detail. But that's great. I love the fact that you guys are doing that. All right. So back to step 2. I'm doing an inspection. At an intermediate level, there's some additional tactics. So for example, I can expand scope. Look at that. It's almost like Tom saw this coming, right? So at an intermediate level, I can expand scope by asking about other projects that they're doing. And I can do something called selling the reference list. All right, and we will dive into that. Now, at an advanced level, I've got other stuff I can do, like giving the customer a link to review space, to review sites, and doing price conditioning and whatever else. So again, I'm going to say the same thing that I said on the previous slide. If you're at least doing the beginner stuff, and I know in step 2, the beginner stuff is a lot of stuff, but if you're doing this, you are doing the inspired sale. There are some locations that don't do a reference list. Okay, so what that tells me is that that's a tactic. It's not core to the inspired sale. It is a tactic, and that tactic you've chosen not to use. Okay. It's not a big deal. It's just that tactic will actually help you. It'll help the customer get a chance to talk to previous customers and whatever else, so we can debate whether or not you want to use that tactic. But at a beginner level, you're doing the inspired sale. Now, if you start adding some of these additional tactics, you get better and better at it. And again, you get the benefit of higher close rates, et cetera, et cetera. So let's think about step 3, measuring and pricing the job. So at a beginner level, what does that look like? Well, I can measure the space and I can create a floor plan. I can put together multiple options, and I can pick 2 to 4 boards per option, which means I'm going out to the van and I can pick, option 1, option 2, option 3, and I can pick multiple boards per option. Great. That means I've done step 3. At an intermediate option now, or at an intermediate level, now I use another tactic called an inspection video, which will help drive some urgency. At an advanced level, there's again some other things. So I can talk about additional services. I can use tools during the inspection video to make that really, really be driven home. Explaining who we are and what we do. So this is step 4, step 5, the company story. So at a beginner level, I can deliver the key message for every slide. I can put transitions between the slides so that it doesn't feel like I'm just doing a PowerPoint presentation for somebody. I can present the installation video so that the customer, we can have a chance to walk through what our process looks like. And I can deliver the slides that are at the end of after the installation video. So in other words, I can deliver all the slides of the company story. So if I'm doing that, then I'm delivering the company story. But I can make that company story a lot better if I include things about the customer that are personal to that customer. If I can incorporate the what's in it for me, right? And at advanced level, there's some additional tactics that we can use around customizing, around dealing with price objections, around dealing with price conditioning. So there's a lot of that stuff that we can do at an advanced level. We've got to get there. Step 6, helping the customer pick product. At a beginner level, I'm going to coach you. When you're showing the customer a product, I'm going to coach you to use this line. I chose this product for you because you said. And it kind of, if you start your product presentation with that intro. It sort of forces you to think about what were the customer's words, what did they want. So let's say that, you know, a customer, they said, hey, I'm looking for a hardwood floor that, you know, looks really, really rustic, and you know, it's got knots and it looks like it came out of a cabin. Okay, great. Well, I chose this for you because you said you wanted a hardwood floor that looked like it came out of a cabin, and so this is the board that I picked for you. So this is just repeating the same words that the customer gave you back to them, and it's helping the customer understand that you're there to solve their problem. Can you use the information that's on the product boards to be able to sell the product boards? So you don't have to be a hardwood expert. You don't have to be a carpet expert if you can just read the information that's on the product boards. And can you meet what the customer wanted their product to look like and feel like? At an intermediate level, now maybe I am getting into some features, advantages, benefits. Now maybe I am starting to bring some more information about the product into the home. But I really want to be able to confirm that the customer loves this solution. And at an advanced level, there's some other things. I can use product demos to show them how this product will perform different than other products they've seen on the market, or use a subfloor build-up to show them how their floor is going to be installed. Okay? Step 7, pre-diagnose. At a beginner level, we don't do it. At an intermediate level, there's a commitment statement and a pre-close question that we'll go into, and there's some advanced techniques like convert to comfort, which we can get into as well. Presenting price and asking for the sale. Again, at a beginner level, can I present the price? Can I present payment options? Can I ask for the sale? How many times do you think you're going to land a job if you don't ask for it? Not very many. Okay, at an intermediate level, now there are some closing techniques that we'll talk through, walk of life and negotiating payment options and all this good stuff. And at an advanced level, there's even other closing tactics. Now, I'm going to send you these slides, so I'm not going to dive into the paperwork stuff because the paperwork stuff is sort of outside the sale and post-close. So this is great. We will get into all these, and again, you're going to have these slides. I will send all these so that you've got them. Okay. At a beginner level, you are doing the inspired sale. At an intermediate level, you're getting better with the inspired sale. And at advanced level, you're getting great with the inspired sale. My goal for this class, it doesn't make sense for me to try to teach you a beginner level because, I mean, at a beginner level, literally we could do this class in a day and we're done. Advanced level is unrealistic because you're going to have some repetitions in the field for all this to make sense and come together. So it's my goal in this class to get everyone to an intermediate level. That's what I'm coaching to. That's what I'm training to. I am 100% believer that sales is a skill, and like any other skill, it gets better as you practice it. It gets better as you work it. Sales is not something, yes, I know there's people that are born natural salespeople, that's true, but I am 100% in the camp that says that you can get better at sales if you actually work on it the same way that a professional basketball player practices free throws, or the way that professional football players practice their craft, or musicians practice their instruments. This is a skill, just like those are skills, and it can get better the more you work on it. So let me stop here and just ask if there's, I know that I went through really, really fast, and over the next few weeks, we're going to break down each one of those steps one by one. But on an overall view, let me just stop here and see what questions you've got from an overall perspective. All right, so we'll move forward from here then. Another way to look at the inspired sales system. These are the same things that we said we needed to do. Build a rapport, assess the current situation, listen to the customer's needs, measure. This is the same thing that we just did, right? So if I put this in sort of a linear path, we build rapport in the setup call in step 1. We assess the current situation in step 2. We listen to the customer's needs in step 3. And we measure and estimate the job there. We educate the customer on who we are and what we do, and what we call step 4 and step 5. We help the customer pick product in step 6, and flipping the price and asking for the sale is step 8. So I'll come back to step 7 in a minute. Now, land the job, don't land the job. This is where we get into the logistics of paperwork, residual meaning. Okay, so that's going to happen no matter what kind of sales system we run. Step 7 is the only thing that's really missing. And step 7 is a diagnostic pre-close question. This is the fastest, shortest step in the whole thing. But this step really sort of sets us up to understand what's about to happen in the close. So there's your overall outline of the Inspired Sales System. Now, how does this work, or why does this work? This sales system works because it's 100% customer focused. This is, honestly, this is not a sales system about helping you sell as much as it is a sales system about helping the customer make a good decision. And if you have the right person, in other words, you, and you have the right company, and you have the right product, and you've built the value, then a good customer decision is to pick you, is to pick your solution. So again, it's less about, okay, how do I sell? You know, this is not a sales system about, okay, how do I twist a customer's arm and really manipulate it, and how do I really get at them and get under their skin so that they'll buy from me? This is more about helping the customer make a good decision for their floors. It identifies objections early. It helps you establish expertise, and it creates urgency. It absolutely validates the customer's choices. This is a solution-focused, customer-focused sales system. You will see this graphic over and over again. We have our setup call, our warm-up, the inspection reference list in step 2, step 3, our inspection video and measuring the job, step 4 for the company's story, installation, product presentation. You can see the whole thing. So here's your first quiz. What is the number one reason that people buy from you?
They like it.
They like you, right? They trust you.
It's the people. It's the person, right?
The person.
So when you look at the sales system, this whole first step is all about you, the person. And what's the second reason that people buy?
The brand?
Company.
Yeah, the company, right? So the company story, the installation presentation, that's all about the company. And what's the third reason that people buy?
Product.
Product. Not a big surprise that the product presentation is the very next thing, in how we install it and what the product is exactly. And then what's the fourth reason that people buy?
Price.
Price.
Bingo, price. So it should not come, and then we've got residual meaning after this. That's great. It should not be a big surprise that the Inspired Sales System was designed around those 4 things. And by the way, in that order: people, company, product, price. It is a very, very well, I wish that I could say that I designed this. I did not. I'm a huge student of the Inspired Sales System. I'm a big believer in it. And I know that this sales system works. It absolutely works. Now, how do you make sure that you're staying on track with it? Well, one of the tools that we have is a competency assessment. Okay, and I will send you a copy of this so that you have this. But this competency assessment goes through step by step exactly what needs to be done. And if you score a 1 on a particular part, well, that means that you're not proficient at that yet. If you score a 2, it means that you're partially proficient. I just want everybody to get to a 3. A 3 means that you're competent in doing it. A 3 is a good number, right? Everybody looks at this and says, well, I want to be a 5. Well, a 5 means that you can coach it. So I'd love for you to be a 5, but it's not realistic to think you're going to be a 5 in the next 6 weeks. It's very realistic to think that you can be at a 3 in the next 6 weeks. Okay, maybe even a 4. So I want you to be at a 3. What is this system? What does it look like? Well, this is just a screenshot. So if we think about the setup call, did you introduce yourself in the company? Rating 1 through 5. Did you ask who referred you to Floor Coverings International? 1 through 5. Did you set some expectations for the appointment and identify a scope of work? Did you ask if anybody else needs to be present? Did you confirm the date, time, and the address, right? So then there's my setup call. And I mean, you could literally, somebody doesn't have to know anything about anything. You could do this with your spouse, you could do it with a friend, you could do it with a neighbor. Say, look, I'm gonna make a setup call to this customer. I want you to listen to it and tell me if I actually did these things. It's a great way to be able to get feedback. Just have somebody listen to your setup call. Warm up, same thing. Here we go. You've got different things that are here and you can simply look at it, boom, 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 boom. Design associates, as you're going on ride-alongs with your franchise owners, I encourage you to take this competency assessment and actually fill out, now tell your franchise owner that you're doing it, but fill out the competency assessment with them. So let's see, where did Sherry go on my screen? Because I'm going to pick on Matt for a second. Where is Sherry? Where'd she go?
I'm here.
Where'd she go? There she is. Okay, all right, so you're with Matt, right? Matt and Karen?
Yes.
Beautiful. So this is what you do. I send you this, you print this out, you tell Matt, look, when we go on this ride along, Arlen told me I have to do this on you. And Matt's going to probably, I know Matt's going to squirrel anyway, so it doesn't matter. So you're going to sit there in the appointment, not in the appointment, but after the appointment, you'll sit there with a little clipboard and you'll fill these things out. And then you might give him some feedback and it might make him better. The reality is that if you are sitting there listening for each one of these things, you're going to listen a whole lot more attentively than just sitting on the couch and watching him do his thing. So this is more about your learning than it is about teaching Matt, okay, or John Conroy or Marie Mahoney or anybody else that's on the call, right? It's not about teaching your franchise owner. It is about more actively listening so that you can pick up on the different tactics that are there, okay? So that's why I encourage you to do that. All right, so questions about the inspired sale. We're going to move off the inspired sale for today. Questions about the inspired sale or about the assessment form, anything that we've gone over so far is fair game. I told you today was going to be bad. It's too much of me talking. I'm going to end up recording this and doing it as watch this ahead of time because it's just too much of me talking.
Adrian, I have a question, if I may.
Yes.
The other flooring company I work for, basically the company close was just under 40 closing average, and better salespeople, good salespeople were all closing above 50%. And that was in an environment, if you will, where if you didn't close it in the first call, you lost the lead. You went to corporate rehash sales. So I've been very, very, very trained to close on the first call. Just being in the field for 5 weeks, I have a question. We're doing all of this in Oak Brook, but I'm really amazed with our company, how many people insist on getting a quote. They really almost can't be closed because, we're selling a different product. It's not we don't do promotions, half off sale, that kind of thing. So the sense of urgency, but what I'm finding is really amazing is the percentage of people, if you did a really good call, once they meet our competitors, they go, wow. Well, one of the things that Mike encouraged me to say, if they say, well, listen, you're my first appointment, I want to get other quotes. Simply to say, wonderful. We love being the first appointment because we want everybody else you meet with to measure up to the standard of the meeting we gave you today. So that's wonderful. We'll send you the quote. And by planting that seed, measure everybody up against how they see it. I know the flooring industry sales group, and it's really most people in the business are C+ at best, and that's generous. But this system, I got to tell you, every company that I've worked for in numerous industries had a very similar system. And the key is not to plagiarize, not to try to be yourself, but really try to mold yourself to the system. Whatever company I work for, how do you guys do it? And I think if we plagiarize like hell, instead of trying to play jazz, we'll be a lot more successful. I think the thing's great.
Love it. I love it. Good. All right. So I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about different resources and tools that you have at your fingertips. Okay. So I'm going to show you two systems real quick. I'm going to show you where floor 11 is, and I'm going to show you where floor U is. Okay, and then we'll come back to this for just a second. So let's jump out of here for a moment, and let's go into the famous floor 11. Now, floor 11 is I'll be honest, it's not the most user-friendly system that's out there, but it's our system, so here we go. There's other things that we've invested time and money into, and I mean, it's not bad. It's just not as Windows-driven as some other systems that are out there. So when I look at this floor 11, now when you log into floor 11, and all of you have credentials for floor 11, even if you haven't found them yet, when you log in, your home screen is probably going to look different than mine. And the reason for that is floor 11 gives you, up here in the settings box, gives you the ability to change the widgets that are on your home page. But you're probably going to log in and it's going to say something like Command Center at the top. Now, if I go over to the left-hand side, there's a menu that pops out. When this menu pops out, I can go to the dashboard. I can go down to the library, which is where you guys are going to end up spending a lot of time, dashboard and library. And this is where you're going to find a tremendous amount of information. So there's something called the Franchise Owner's Manual, and yes, Design Associates, you have access to this as well. If I click on the Franchise Owner's Manual, there's one file, but there's a ton of folders that are in here. So for example, if I go to the Inspired Sale Training and Certification folder, if I open that guy up, and then I've got inside of that, there's some files that are here, but then there's some other stuff. So I want to go to this subdirectory called the Company Story Resources. So this is great because this is a place where I can download the company story. I can download the brand new company story. Here it is, the 2023 company story, and I can download that in a PDF version. And it's a scripted version. Now, I do not want you to memorize a script. That is not the point. The point is that I want you to be able to read the script that Marianne has put together for us so that you get the flavor of each slide. What is the main point of each slide? Okay. But if I go back to the Inspired Sale Training and Certification, you'll see that there's some other stuff that's in here. There's other things that we will get to over time. But for now, just know that this is a path. And by the way, when I send the recap email, I will send you this path. So if you didn't get it written down, that's okay. I will send you the path on how to get to the company story on floor 11. The other tool that I want to make sure that we look at today is floor U. So hopefully by now you are all familiar with where this is. And if I click on floor U, I'll have to log in here again, I'm sure. Some of these other tabs while this is opening. So this is what the start of floor U looks like. In floor U, your home page and my home page are going to look exactly the same. So there's no differentiation here. Right here on the main page, there's two places that I want to focus your attention. One is your initial training area. Okay, so starting with this class, this is your initial training path right here, week 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And over here on the right-hand side, there's a Salesforce learning plan. Okay, so let's just look at how this works. I am going to assign you homework today, and that homework is going to be due when we meet again next week. So you have 1 week to get all the stuff in week 1 done. I click on week 1. Some of the things that are in here are videos. Some of them are quizzes. Some of them are downloads. And then you've got the data. You've got all this good stuff. So this is initial training week 1. And you've got all these different courses here. So I would encourage you to do them in order. They make sense if you do them sequentially. So let's just say that I click on, I've done the Design Associate. Let's go to the Flooring and Construction Basics tab here. And what have I got? I've got 9 lessons inside of this one tab. So I've got flooring industry terms. I've got a flooring basics document. I've got these things that I'm going to do one by one, okay? So if I ever get lost and don't know where I'm at, I can always go back to this floor U symbol at the top left-hand side. And sure enough, here I am again. So week 1 is due next week. So there's a lot of material there. It's probably 15 hours worth of recorded stuff. So it'll take you longer than that to get through it. So don't wait until Tuesday of next week to do it. You want to go ahead and get a jump on that. And your Salesforce learning plan is over here, which I would encourage you to start taking little bits and pieces of that as well. So maybe take one section a week. When the screen pops up, that'll make more sense. So maybe this week you deal with the Salesforce basic navigation, calendar management, or Salesforce order flow, et cetera, okay? So I've told you that we would look at the scorecard, and I want to do that now. So I will scorecard this team. Let me just blow this up a little bit so it's a little easier to see. So the first thing that I will do is each week I will take attendance. All right, so Dan Atkins was here today, and look at that, he gets 100% attendance. Good job. So Dan's there. Don't worry, I'll take care of everybody's when we're off the call today. But the system will automatically also keep up with what you did in the week 1 learning plan, week 2, and then all the way down to Salesforce. And so I can see that Josefina has already started working through week 1, partway through week 2, has already started getting into Salesforce. I keep my franchise owners on the left. I've got a couple of corporate people here in the middle. I can see that the only thing Jalen's interested in is Salesforce, so that's interesting, right? And then I come over here to the right, and I've got all my design associates on the right-hand side. And once again, I'm gonna simply take a look at what's there. Look at this. Nick has already gotten through everything. I mean, everything. And by the way, if I see a 90%, 94%, I know that there's a couple of the videos that sometimes they don't close right for everybody. So don't worry. Jennifer says she's got 100, 90, 100, 100. She's done, right? Jennifer's already done all this. Good. The other thing that I'm keeping track of for the design associates is how many ride-alongs have you been on? So there's another spreadsheet. All of you have access to this, and it's the ride-along tracking sheet. And so I'm just going to ask, this should pop up in the March class. If for some reason it doesn't, just move over to the March class. That's Bob, and I'm going to, just so that I know who we're talking about here. There we go. And you'll notice that Bob has already done, look at this, he's already done 40 ride-alongs. Fantastic, okay? And I would ask, the reason that some of these are highlighted is as you land jobs in the field, or even on follow-up, highlight those so that we can celebrate those together. If you don't know where this sheet is, again, don't worry, I'm going to send you a link to this sheet in the recap that I send out this evening. So you will have this. Every one of you has a set of columns here, and it should be organized alphabetically by the design associate's last name. So it should make it really easy for you to find yourself. Look at this, Marnie is absolutely killing it. What in the world, Marnie? That's all you're doing is ride-alongs. I love it. So good stuff here, right? Julie's out there. She's got a bunch of them. And what I will do each week is, this is a manual update, but I will go in and I'll manually put in, these are the number of ride-alongs that everybody's done so far. Okay, so we get a chance to see that. Franchise owners, as you guys are doing proposals in the system, I will simply be able to count the number of proposals that you put together as part of your boot camp homework, and I will count those as your ride-alongs. Obviously, if you do an actual ride-along with another franchise owner, that's even better. So, questions about the scorecard or the ride-along sheet or Floor U, any of this stuff? Because that's a lot of material really, really fast.
And I actually have a question for Sally and I, because we aren't doing ride-alongs anymore. We're just fully running our own appointments. Do you want us to kind of just put our appointments in there or just kind of skip that section? Or what are your thoughts there for us?
No, put your appointments in. Put your appointments in. That would be a lot of fun. Shoot, maybe for you two, I start tracking your sales landed. I love it. Good stuff. Any other questions? All right. let's get to the fun stuff. Well, it's not fun for you, but it's fun for me. So let's talk about homework. Nobody likes to talk about homework. I've got 4 things, really one big thing, that I want you guys to do as homework for this week. One, you've already seen the floor use stuff that we've got to do, right? I'm going to ask you to memorize the step 1 word for word questions, which are going to show up on the very next slide. I'm going to ask you to memorize the company story slide order, not to memorize the company story, just to know the order of the slides. So what's this look like? Here's the transition questions. I want you to memorize these 3 questions word for word. How long have you been thinking about replacing your flooring? What made you decide to do it today? Okay, now then there's like a second little question. We'll get into this next week. What made you decide to buy from me today? And then, oh, really, what makes you say that? So these 3, call it 3.5 questions. I want you to memorize these word for word. Now, this week is, I promise you, this is the worst week when it comes to memorization. I will never, ever ask you again to memorize as much as I'm going to ask you to do this week, okay? So please, I don't want anybody to freak out because it's memory, but we've got to do this. We've got to lay a foundation together. These 3.5 questions, I want you to memorize these word for word. Practice them with your spouse, practice them with your franchise owner, practice them with the dog. I love doing it with my cats because they swat at me anyway. It's fantastic, okay? There's a couple of other word for word questions that we're going to get into later. You don't have to do these today, but just so that you've got them. So there's one, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And then your closing question, when the job's complete, would you be in a position to pay with a check or take advantage of one of the payment options? So we'll get into those later. For this week, just these, all right? Now, the company story slide order, there's a method behind the madness. This week, I'm going to ask you to just learn the order of the slides. That's it. You don't have to know anything about anything. Just what is the order of the slides. Then next week, we're going to add content to those slides. The next week, we're going to add transitions between the slides. And the next week, we're going to personalize it. So what's in it for me, for the customer? So in order for us to understand, sorry, there was a question? No, okay. So that we understand what I'm talking about with the slide order, I'm going to go through this quickly. The very first slide in the company story is this slide. I'm giving this a title. It's the My Job slide. So you don't have to know anything about this slide other than next week, I want to be able to say, what's the first slide in the company story? And everybody says, My Job. That's it. This is the name of the slide. It's the My Job slide. The second slide in the company story is Promise. Okay, well, our promise is to provide the best flooring experience in North America. That's wonderful. That's great, but that's not what I want for next week. The only thing I want for next week is for you to be able to say, the first slide is My Job, the second slide is Promise, and the third slide is Serve. So if I said, somebody tell me the first 3 slides in the company story, somebody should be able to recite from memory, My Job, Promise, Serve. That's it. My Job, Promise, Serve. Okay. Well, what's the 4th slide in the company story? Map. Because there's a little map hidden back there. So if I were to ask somebody, what are the first 4 slides in the company story, somebody should be able to say, My Job, Promise, Serve, Map. Okay? And what we're doing here is we're starting to build the foundation so that the company story, I don't have to, when I'm on the Serve slide, I don't have to think about what the next slide is. I know the next slide is the Map slide, so I'm setting myself up to be able to deliver that slide seamlessly so it doesn't feel like a PowerPoint presentation. So that's why the memorization is important. My Job, Promise, Serve, Map, Reviews. Okay, so over the entire country, we're at a 4 point, even Canada, we're at a 4.8 out of 5-star rating. And we've got a slide that talks about the Better Business Bureau, or just BBB for short. I go back again. For next week, you don't have to be able to deliver a company story. I just want you to know the order of the slides. So you should be able to say by memory, My Job, Promise, Serve, Map, Reviews, BBB, Stars. This is one of my favorite slides in the company story. This is how we earn our stars. And when we dive into the company story, we're going to talk about how to use this slide really, really effectively because this is, you know, we're a 4.8 out of 5-star business. Well, how do we earn those stars? And this is how we earn them. And we are a trusted source. So the name of this slide is trusted. So again, I go back. For next week, you don't have to be able to deliver the company story, just be able to say, my job, promise, serve, map, reviews, BBB, stars, trusted, installation. So it's literally one word for each slide, installation. Okay, so this gives you the opportunity to talk about the installation and then to queue up the installation video. The next slide, which is the first slide after the installation video, is choice. So I can talk about choice, and that's great. And then we can talk about being direct. So what does it mean to be manufacturer direct? What does it mean when we say that, you know, that we are manufacturing direct? All right, well, the name of this slide is just direct, and then the next slide is going to be versus. And again, we're going to get into all these details later. So for next week, we don't have to know anything about these two slides other than that's versus. But if I go back, you should be able next week to say, my job, promise, serve, map, reviews, BBB, stars, trusted, installation video, choice, direct, versus, easy. After easy, it's happy. And the final slide is going to be build it. Okay? So just to make it really, really easy on you, there's all the slides right there together. So for next week, I wanted to, when we first start our call next week, I'm going to ask for some volunteers to be able to do this, to just be able to come off of mute and say, my job, promise, serve, map, reviews, BBB, stars, trusted, installation video, choice, direct, easy versus happy, easy, direct versus easy, happy, build it. See, my head, I'm so tied into the old company story version that I'm having to rememorize this myself. So the last half is a little different for me. My job, promise, serve, map, reviews, BBB, stars, trusted, installation video, choice, direct versus easy, happy, build it. Good. So that's it. There it is. That's your memorization right there. My hope is that as you've done this, or the idea is that as you've done this, that it's actually now starting to tie in with the pictures on the slides, and it's starting to lay that foundation for being able to deliver a company story without having to look at your screen to do it. In the homework, I'm not going to go through this in detail today. This is all the stuff that you're going to end up going through in floor view. So there's a lot of information in floor view. So just as a reminder, week 1 homework, you're memorizing step 1, word for word. You're memorizing the company story, the word for word questions. You're memorizing the company story slide order. And I will have these slides for you. You can also download the scripted company story from Floor 1-1. Memorizing that company story. DAs, go on your ride-alongs and log those suckers and go ahead and try to start getting some reference list pictures. So, before we wrap up, I just want to find out what questions are out there, because there's got to be a ton.
Erwin, I have one. So before when it came out, the happy was the second to last slide and the build it was the last. That's swapped now, just to double. Okay, thank you.
No. Build it is still last. It's happy and then build it. Build it is still the last one. Did I have that wrong? Let's see. Yep, it's happy and then build it. Other questions?
I have a question. This is Paul Boudre. On that scorecard, I happened to notice my name, but I couldn't see the numbers. I've already finished most of 1, all of 2, and half of 3, but I didn't see it on there. I have 2 sections on that screen that show all of the weeks. Why are there 2 different sections on my home screen that show all of the weeks?
So on the home screen has actually now been changed. So if you refresh the home screen, you're going to see that there's only 1 section there now. Okay. And the 1 section that says initial training is for the March class. So it is possible that when you went into the other one, the home screen has said, starting with the March class, this is the new training material. So it might be that you were working with the other training material. If so, it's not a problem. If you'll go into the new training, if you'll go into the one that's there now that says initial training, starting with the March class, you'll see that any of those trainings that are repeats from the old one, they're already marked as done. So it won't be a problem you don't have to go back and redo anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Other questions?
Yeah, Arlen, for me, I mean, I want to obviously go through this, but 15 slides on the company story, in Northern Virginia where I live, people are really, really busy and you might have them at hello anyway. And, it's just how much time does that typically take to go through that? Because there may be people that just really get, hey, I got place to be. Why don't you get through this, right?
Yep. So that's part of what we will deal with that when we're diving into the company story. I will tell you this, if you don't find a way to be able to sell your value so that the customer sees you differently than somebody else, then you're at that point, you're really just focused on price, and it's going to be a really, really hard sell. So when we talk about doing the company story, it's not because we're trying to, beat somebody up over not doing it. And you ought to be able to deliver this company story really in 7 or 8 minutes. I mean, it's really, really quick, and hitting the high spots and moving on to the next thing. So this is not a 20-minute presentation. This is an 8-minute presentation. And if I do it right, and I weave in the stuff that I learned about the warm-up, then it doesn't even feel like a presentation. We're just having a conversation. So we'll get into that. Good question, though.
Arlen?
Yeah.
For the 5 reference list picks for DAs, so right now I'm just going on right along. So who'd I get the reference picks from?
You're with John, right? So just talk to John about a strategy of how to get those reference list pictures.
Okay.
I mean, and different people will have different strategies. One of the strategies that I love, I absolutely love this, is like if you came to work for me, the first thing that I'm going to have you do is, here's a list of customers that we installed floors for, let's say 6 months ago. I want you to call each one of these people that we did an installation for 6 months ago and tell them, hey, this is Brigitte. Make sure that I'm saying this right. How do I say this right?
Brigitte Black.
Brigitte. All right. This is Brigitte from Floor Coverings International, and it's time for me to come by and do a 6-month warranty check with you. Oh, what is that? Well, we like to come by about 6 months later and just make sure that everything still looks good. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, everything looks great. Well, it's part of our process, so would it be better for me to come during the day or in the evening? And now all of a sudden, before you know it, you're in somebody's house. And it gives you the opportunity it's a very short warm-up, 2 or 3 minutes just to get to know them a little bit. Take a look at their floor, and then you're asking them whether or not you can put them, they'd be okay with you using them using them as a reference list picture.
Okay.
So I love that approach, but John may have something else that he wants you to do.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
And I also, on the Floor U training where it says to upload a video of yourself practicing, I don't know, it's just a tech question, but yeah, it wasn't working, but I don't know, maybe I just need to.
I will say that for everything, not just for that, but for everything, Chrome really works the best. So if anybody is using a Microsoft Edge or something else, you're going to want to switch over to Chrome, because, I mean, everything just works. Like Salesforce works better in Chrome, For You works better, everything works better in Chrome.
Yeah, we're using Chrome. I don't know. I don't know why.
Get with John, and if you guys can't figure it out, give me a call. It's no big deal.
Okay, will do. Thanks.
All right, good. So our next call is Tuesday of next week. So watch out. The next couple, I like to normally do these on Wednesdays, but the next couple of weeks with different meetings that have gotten pushed onto my calendar, I've had to reschedule a couple of things. So next week is going to be Tuesday, not Wednesday. Next week is Tuesday, February the 21st, and that's going to be, again, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. Expectations, memorize the transition questions, know the company story slide order, just know the order. And, you know, we're going to practice, but between now and then, you can practice the setup call, step 1 and step 2. And I should add to this, the week 1, in fact, let's do it while we're here. Week 1 in Floor U. Good. Now, I mentioned that I take attendance, but I also know that life happens. And, you know, as much as I want everybody to be on every call, the reality is that there's going to be a time when you have to do a ride along or something comes up. I know you're going to want to be on these live, but if for some reason you have to go back and watch a recording, the way that I know that you watch through the recording is I give you a code word. And this is the code word for today. So if you missed today's webinar, I can give you 75% attendance credit. If you watch through the recording, you get to this point, you send me an email that says, hey, I watched the recording, and the code word is Kelly's Wellies. And I do give extra credit if people can figure out where the code words come from. But that's the code word for today. And that's it. So you've got next week, Tuesday from 1 to 3, you've got our code word for the day. And I'm going to open this up for any questions that you've got. I've got about 10 minutes before I've got to jump. So if somebody's got some specific questions, this is a great time. Otherwise, I will release the hounds and say, have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Arlen.
Thanks, Arlen.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Arlen, I won't need it.
Thank
but,
you.
If somebody does need it, will they get extra credit if they can sing
Arlen.
Kelly's Wellies?
Oh, look at that. All right. Look at that. He's all over it already. Already we've got somebody.
Thank you, Arlen.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Arlen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arlen.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arlen. I'm gonna try to get my email figured out. So once I get access to that, then I'll have access to all the information.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. So until you have your credential set up, you won't have Floor U, you won't have Floor 1, you won't have anything yet. So
Yeah, unfortunately.
As soon as that comes through, ask Jenny what's going on. I'm assuming that she sent the request in anyway.
She sent it to me yesterday. She did tell me get everything reset. I think she was setting it up yesterday. So yeah, you want to reach out to her.
The only problem is I keep seeing I saw an email saying that there was a link for me to get access to it, but there was no link. So I have no credentials to get into my FCI email address.
Okay, I'll send you another email. I think I don't have your personal email, but I do have the email.
I haven't seen his yet, Jalen. I haven't seen.
Well, no,
yet.
I did it. He didn't. The form wasn't sent in. I was with Jenny on Monday at her office, and I did it with her.
Okay.
During an office visit.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and I saw, like I said, there were interchanging emails, and I saw one that says below you'll find a link into Beto's FCI account, but I'll follow up, and there was no link for that. There was just a link to open Outlook, but as soon as I did it, I mean, it was asking me for obviously my email address and password, and I don't have it yet.
Do you have an email I can send your credential form to? Because
Sure, please, yeah.
Okay, yeah, just let me get your email and I'll send that credential out to you so you have it and Jenny has it.
Yeah, so let me spell it for you. So it's N as in Nancy, O, R as in Robert, B as in boy, E, R as in Robert, T as in Tom, O, 2269 @gmail.com.
Okay, I'm gonna send it to you within the next like 10-15 minutes, and then that'll help you get signed into Outlook, and then you'll have, I may have to, actually no, it hasn't been 24 hours yet. So in that email, you'll see the link for Salesforce after you get Outlook connected, and then you'll click that link, and then that will help you set up the
exactly. Because I think that the Salesforce email has already been sent to the FCI email account.